So here in Idaho, real estate moves fast. Here in Sun Valley and the Wood River Valley, it moves really fast. But before you get the keys to your new home, you're going to run into a handful of forms that can feel a little bit intimidating. But the good news is that they're each designed to protect you. And today I'm going to walk you through exactly what they mean. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of some of the forms buyers and sellers deal with here in Idaho and how they keep your transaction running smooth and safe. All right, up first, we've got the agency disclosure brochure, and this is always the first form that you're going to receive. But don't worry, it's not a contract. It doesn't lock you into anything. Instead, it just explains the professional relationship that you can have with an agent. It is required by state law for me to present you this brochure upon our first official business interaction. So what it does is it explains the relationships between a customer and a client. So as a customer, you'll get honesty, good faith, proper accounting, but no confidentiality or advocacy. And as a client, this is when you sign a representation agreement and your agent becomes your fiduciary. So what that means is that they're legally obligated to protect your best interests, keep your information confidential, and negotiate for you. Signing this brochure just acknowledges that you received it. It's about transparency, not commitment. The brochure also explains agency, which simply means who the agent is legally representing. And there are a few types in Idaho. So there's single agency, where the agent represents only you, either as a buyer or a seller. There is limited dual agency, which is the same brokerage and sometimes even the same agent represent both the buyer and the seller. And in this case, the agent must remain neutral and can't favor one side or the other. And then there's no agency. And this is for customers only. And in this case, the agent provides basic services but doesn't represent you in any fiduciary capacity. Understanding agency is important because it defines who your agent is working for and whether they're obligated to promote your best interests. All right, so up next, the form that you're most likely going to run into, unless you go straight to signing a buyer representation agreement, is the RE5, which is the prior to showing agreement. This is a newer form, and you'll be asked to sign this before you're allowed to start touring homes with an agent. It spells out how the agent may be compensated, whether it be hourly rate, per showing fee, or another arrangement, but honestly, I haven't heard of anybody charging for showings with the RE5s in our area. It also makes clear that this isn't a full representation agreement. You can kind of think of it as more of a stepping stone so you can tour properties and decide if this agent is right for you. All right, so up next, we've got the RE14. And so this is when you're ready to get serious about buying, and this is when things get official. This form makes things official. It's where you officially hire me as your agent. And what that's going to do is it's going to establish a fiduciary relationship. So that's going to include loyalty, confidentiality, and full representation. I can actively search for properties on your behalf, including off-market opportunities, and I'll handle negotiations, manage the paperwork, and guide you through the inspection process and the financing. This agreement also lays out our compensation terms and the length of our partnership. And it's important to know that commissions are not set by law. They always have been and always will be fully negotiable. The RE14 makes that clear and ensures we're both on the same page about how my services are compensated, whether that be by the seller, the buyers, or a combination of both. So do note that this is where the negotiations are going to happen. Once the RE14 is signed by both parties, it becomes a contract. All right, so on the flip side of things of the RE14, you're going to find the RE16, and that is the seller representation agreement. For sellers, this is going to be your main contract, and it's going to give me the exclusive right to represent you and your property and ensures that I can fully invest in marketing it. It's going to define the terms of our agreement, how long I'll be your listing agent, and it explains the brokerage fees, which, as always, are negotiable. And most importantly, it confirms my fiduciary duties. Promoting your property, negotiating offers, protecting confidentiality, and making sure that all offers are presented promptly. This agreement is going to give you peace of mind, knowing that I am fully committed to getting your home sold at the best possible terms. And lastly, the RE21, which is the purchase and sales agreement. This is the contract that's going to legally bind the buyer and the seller together. And this documents the roadmap for the entire transaction. It's going to identify the parties and the property. It's going to state the purchase price and the financing terms. It's going to cover earnest money, which shows the buyer is serious, and that's going to become part of the down payment. It's going to include contingencies like the inspection, the appraisal, and the financing, other contingencies that are important to protect the buyers. It's going to set a closing and possession date and list that includes inclusions and exclusions so everybody knows exactly what stays with the home. It's the most detailed and the most important document in the process, and it's my job to guide you through each section so there's no surprises. So those are a few of the forms that you're definitely going to run into along your real estate journey. From the very first brochure to the purchase and sales contract, each form does play an important role in your real estate transaction. My role in that transaction is to make sure you understand exactly what you're signing and to represent your best interests every step of the way. So if you're thinking about buying or selling in Idaho, or if you want to know more, please reach out anytime. I'll put my information in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.